is what he says. And some people would ask, how so? Because it wasn't, some people would say it wasn't Labour Party that owed workers. It wasn't Labour Party that had not paid gratuities. It wasn't Labour Party that was the cases of insecurity that was registered in the state at some time. The list goes on, which are some of the questions people are asking, rightly so. But you would also see the perspective of the governor. He says, well, the organized labor is pushing a cause for Labour Party, especially because the Labour Party in itself has ties with Labour. I mean, that was why the party was formed, because Labour needed some way to see how it could involve in governance and implement certain policies that would be favorable to Nigerians and workers in general. So you would see the argument of the governor from that perspective. But then the layman would also say it would not be the first time Labour was protesting in Imo State. They've always protested and no changes occurred. And some people would even believe that the only time you can get something out of a government is when you protest or hold them down during or prior to the elections. That's when you get results, because every politician, government, one thing they take most interest in beyond the people they are supposed to serve for many politicians would be elections, power. That's the one thing that it's power. Holding on to power is the major thing, and the one way to go there is through elections, and that's why politicians take that seriously. And sad to say, but it seems as though they take that even more serious than they would take governance. So yeah, the argument on both sides makes a lot of sense. Not much information has come in from Imo State, but I'm pretty sure I would give you details as they come. At the moment, what we know is that election materials have been moved to the various local governments, picking up materials from the rack centers. Voting is supposed to start immediately, but so far so good. Well, nothing yet. In Kogi State, we all know Dino Milai, and the governor Bello would be trying to ensure that his candidate and the candidate of his party, Usman Ododo, is elected. That's where we are. That is where we are. But above all is the most important for people, the umpire, INEC. And that's why if you go on Facebook at Nigeria Info 92.3 PH, I'm asking your expectations from INEC in these elections. What are you expecting? What are your expectations? We had the presidential election. A lot of things that were not comfortable and many people saw to be questionable happened in the course of elections. The governorship elections, we had same issues. Would IREF be working? INEC has said, well, IREF would be working. There were even talks. People were talking about it's even possible to collate electronically. Well, we don't have that yet. We can transmit electronically. IREF is supposed to be there so we can see real time as these figures are uploaded. And votes are supposed to be uploaded at the polling unit, says INEC. Will that happen, or are we going to have a repeat of the presidential election where INEC comes and says, after spending all the billions, we have problems with internet or the network or the server, however you want to put it. These things happen, and when they happen, we have to switch to manual. Does INEC have in place a certain measure to checkmate the kind of issues we've seen now, where sensitive materials perhaps might have been taken along with the staff that was kidnapped? What mechanism has been put in place in case of those sort of eventualities? All of these are questions that need answers. So I'm going to start with open the phone lines. There's still many other issues that I would raise, but let's hear your reaction to this one first. What are the expectations from INEC? That's all we need to hear from you today. As people in Bayelsa go out to vote, as people in Kogi and Imo State go out to vote, what are your expectations from INEC? 0817 923 0007. 0817 923 0007. You can also call 0817 923 0003. I have friends in Yegwa who are already giving me updates and saying, this cannot be happening again. This cannot be happening again. This cannot be happening again. Especially when news of the kidnap came out. So a lot of people already are concerned. And if you did not listen, in the news, we spoke to some of them. I would just like us to perhaps hear what a few of them, or some had to say about the election and how they feel traveling to their communities to vote. Some have said they will not vote. Some have said they will vote. Well, so let's find out what they said.
The main challenge we have now is the boats. We are waiting for boats to carry us to our various places.
It is my fundamental human right. I will certainly go and cast my vote.
Let the winner take it. But everybody should come and vote. After you get your permission, come and vote.
I will not vote. For me, I will not vote.
My primary concern to me, good government.
Well, you heard that. The opinions of some of the Rivers Bayelsans will not vote. My own is just let there be good governance. In fact, somebody asked me a very critical question this morning. Do people even know who to vote for and why they are voting for who they are voting for? Which is a fundamental thing in all of this. Do you even know who you are voting for and why you are voting for this person? Do you understand their ability? Do you have a proper and fundamental understanding of this person's ability? And then you go forward to say, why am I voting for them and who am I voting for? Nigeria, good morning. Your name and straight to your contribution.
Good morning, the very distinguished female Andrew. Happy weekend to you.
Right, happy weekend. Good morning.
Yes, I remain the very distinguished the Temple of Kiri. Very important.
Go.
Very distinguished female Andrew. Like your question, likely goes. I don't expect anything different from conclusive election and all the rest of them, because it's obviously that the INEC will not conclude the election in part of some of the local governments that a negative stories have already started emanating since yesterday. But I want to add to INEC at this point in time, looking at the huge, humongous amount of money or budget they are always, pushing to the federal government, they use in financing this election so far. And looking at the violence, we always record during a election period or the election day. Can't INEC at some point be able to get some kind of all these small cameras they can be able to, put at the body of their, officials, while going on this official and important duty? We always hear that some of their officials has been kidnapped and their whereabouts is yet to known. Election materials has been carried away. Sometimes it baffles me that we always get the same story all the time on election day without some paper, making sure that some of these stories don't emanate all the time at the day of election. Please, INEC should wake up to the occasion and do something different at this point in time.
Okay, Temple. Thank you very much. Let me quickly say that on WhatsApp you can use the number 0809-030-6416. 0809-030-6416. We have a short commercial coming now. After the commercial, we would respond to a few more. We've seen the death of lady in Rivers State most recently, and the most recent event to be a UNIPORT student that was found dead in a room, and then the killing of a teenager in part of Etche. What is responsible for this? Why are we having this? It's becoming a new trend. The last time we saw this, remember the hotel guy who would take ladies to hotels and then kill them. So what is happening? Should we be concerned? All of this and more are part of issues on the page when we return after the commercial. All right, the front page continues. My name is Ifeami Andrew. Let's talk here. Imo and Kogi State. The question had been what you expect from INEC. But before we open the phone lines, let me also add this, which was another trending issue. This was a teenager who was found at Amakomba community, the body of a teenager in Etche local government area of Rivers State. And at the time, the community development chairman said to our correspondent that the 13-year-old who was an SS1 student of the community secondary school in Etche was kidnapped, killed, and buried in a bush. Really concerning, really sad, very painful, I'm sure. I mean, very painful. But this would not be the first time we're hearing news of this nature. But first, let's listen to what was said by the community development chairman.
She was sent for an errand by her parents. On her way returning, a group of boys that kidnapped her, so she was killed and buried along the Okin Amakomba Federal Road. As it is now, the community is no longer safe, so we use this opportunity to call on the Commissioner of Police and the chairman of our local government area to fetch those who are responsible for this barbaric act.
And truth be told, the council chairman really spoke about the spokesperson for the local government area, Robinson Olo, said a suspect has been arrested by the police.
We want to condemn the murder of 13-year-old. As we speak right now, the police has arrested one suspect in connection with the death of the young girl. The arrest was made today, and that the suspect is currently at the Okinhi Divisional Police Station, while the police is also making more effort to arrest other culprits who are involved in the murder of the young girl. The police is on the matter in complaint of the chairman of the government, Dr. Obinanyawo.
If you also cast your mind back during the week, a student of UNIPORT was found dead in her apartment. A 200-level student of accounting found in an off-campus residence in Alu. The Dean of Student Affairs also identified the student simply as Adaize. Where investigation is at the moment, we do not know because we haven't gotten much from the police with regards to that, or the school management hasn't released any new statement that I'm aware of. But we definitely will be waiting to see what situation or what could be responsible for the death of that young woman. She was found dead in her apartment, living off campus. This was what the Dean Student Affairs, University of Port Harcourt, Wokocha, had to say.
Her body was the brief health center by people who live around her in her lodge. I want you to know that she did not die in the University of Please. She died in her campus residence in Alo. The crime of the scene was visited by the management of the university to my humble self. The police was there with us also. We noted the fact that she had taken a substance and had passed a bottle of a substance that was found by her side there. The parents have come there and I think they are making arrangements to take the body.
All right, so you heard the comments from the Dean Student Affairs, Professor Wokocha, and what he says. Well, there you have it. Now, and she wasn't. We've had, the horrific manner in which a lady was killed and dismembered, the body dismembered, and also another death of a young lady. It just became something until teenager in Etche. What really is happening in the case of this young woman? Reports that she had a substance. If you listen to the excerpt there, you would have heard it. A substance was found close to her. Some people, on the other hand, would not really feel comfortable that the dean had to quickly say she did not die in the hostel. She died in campus. So does that mean that the school should not take responsibility? But in as much as you might want to think about it that way, I feel it is also very necessary and imperative to state where the incident happened. And it would not be out of place if the school management stated clearly that this was where this issue happened, not implying that if it's in the hostel, they would have stopped it or it cannot happen, but basically saying, well, if it was in the hostel, we know that we would have had much more to do. Perhaps certain regulations would have been in place, and if it had happened the hostel, well, then we would have taken, necessary steps. But it would be difficult because she lives off campus. But that aside, what the substance is, was it responsible for her death? I mean, plenty of reasons, and that's why whether the family perhaps doesn't want these informations out, we don't know. But in the course of the week, we got those reports. Open the phone lines now. Let's and get you 0817923003 and 01792300007. And for good morning.
Yeah, Mr. Zion, good morning.
All right, Mr. Zion, go ahead.
Andrew.
Yes.
Is this comment from the Dean of Study harassment professional in this country?
How?
It's so no ethos in it.
Is to weird
that material and the school duty of care of everybody or anybody that have been as I'm here, maybe I'm in a forest. As the UNIPORT student, UNIPORT owe me the duty of care. Why are we living in this part of the world? And we pride in our ignorance. Look, you have shifted the blame. Then the people want to come and collect about you. That alone is a criminal offense. The ability, the autopsy, who kill students, who want to know the situations, the immediate cause. You didn't know somebody has to do it. And then went to hospital or pharmacy to as a cough, fleeing or any product to heal her. But unfortunately, in that bottle, have to see to mobilize all these people. So you must people calibrate for INEC product. When you get to Tembe Waterside, this number, they know your INEC. You mobilize them to the vehicle, to the speedboat stipulated or manned by INEC. But you leave them, we are waiting for speedboats. Can you see this? Are you catching confusion?
All right, Zion. But let's also know you might not have all the details. Both that she might have been waiting to board have been one.
Hear me? If you, by the grace of God, 2019, I got involved in politics, not because of job. I want to change the narrative of that state. I saw a lot. I saw a lot. I met places I've never been arrested because of 2019 election. I went there. The truth is, if you are not, and I can tell everybody, 2019 Guba election was the most peaceful. Somebody stood in gap.
Okay.
On election never issue. Hear the stories already. Tear gas, speedboats. I'm doing the work of INEC in Bayelsa State 2019.
All right, move on now. Thank you very much. Nigeria Info. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
This is calling from Owerri.
All right, Victor. How is Owerri this morning? How is the elections going?
I will thank God for everything. There's one impression I want to correct. These people call INEC to be called NEC because they are no more independent
go about their lawful duty because the government has still put lives in this. Because most of the time, what we keep hearing is that insecurity. They always come out to blame the opposition, but yet up to now they cannot even name the oppositions. So we are looking for free and fair elections today. No, that they are going to do.
Thank you very much. Hoping for a free and fair election. Now, Info, good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Andrew.
Good morning.
Yeah, my name is Ray Clinton. I'm calling from Bori.
Okay, go on.
Yeah. Elections in Nigeria are always special, especially in Bayelsa and River State. And the most annoying, INEC, despite the amount of money that have been funded to their resident, they are not able to on their mandate. So I think that going forward, if INEC deliver free and credible elections in Nigeria, they will be truly independent, because we have seen cases where the road take control of INEC. Then the issue going on in Imo State, Andrew, personally think that Joe Ajaero is pushing the personal cause, because the Imo State governor has come out to say that he's not paying salary. One very one servant in Imo State must say that it's owing salary, and nobody is able to do that. So going just a week to election, Andrew, is very political. And finally, today is my birthday, Andrew.
Happy birthday. But then the state workers, I think there's also been reports of civil servants on some of the newspapers of being salaries 4, 5, 6 months, 7 months, and being owed pensions for a couple of months as well, amongst many other workers. Things that Labour had with the state government that needed to be implemented but have not been implemented. Well, court. That back to unfair it is Nigeria. Be fake uh, vote right amount this